Aloha, and this is The Art of Life. I'm your host, Willow Chang Alion, and we do broadcast live every Friday here in the heart of downtown at Pioneer Plaza. We are right on the cusp of a wonderful long weekend with all types of activity, celebrations for the upcoming Chinese New Year, and of course Valentine's Day and President's Day. And what better way to celebrate a celebratory time than having a guest who works within an artistic medium that's all about the celebration. We have Ms. Maya Ball here, also known as Maya Papaya to the art world, and she is, I'm going to say this on record, one of Hawaii's finest Mendhi artists, and I must say one of the finest artists I've had the pleasure of having work on me throughout the years. So I had my first Mendhi done when I was 16. That was a very long time ago. And then I've had a lot of different types of Mendhi, and I absolutely love what you do. So let's tell our viewers out there how you got interested in the art of Mendhi.
Okay, well, I've always been artistic. I was always one of those kids who was doodling on your, book covers in high school and things like that, and always making little crafty things. And I found myself as a jewelry artist in my early 20s and working at Beat It in Kaimuki, and my friend Monica was a henna artist and needed help with her bigger events, so she taught me how to mix henna paste.
This is Monica Day.
Yes, Miss Monica Day. She taught me how to mix the paste and how to use the bottles. Traditionally, Indian artists use a cone. It looks like a little pastry cone to do henna. We use little jacquard bottles. They're traditionally used for silk dyeing, but they're wonderful. And I started out with just a very basic set of designs that I practiced really well. I knew those things, and that was 8 years ago. And now my style has definitely developed into a signature. My friends say that when they see pictures on Instagram of some of my events, they can tell that it's mine. And it's kind of a fusion between traditional Indian designs, a little bit of tribal North African designs, and then definitely kind of a Hawaii Polynesian feel with big leaves and flowers too.
Which I think is very befitting. Being here in Hawaii, where we are the crossroads of many different cultures that intersect. And you brought up some interesting points by talking about the different stylistic influences. For those who are unaware, Mendhi, which is the art made with the paste, as you talked about, from the henna plant. Yes. We find this in cultures everywhere from India, Northern Africa, and throughout the Middle East.
Afghanistan, Pakistan,
all those
Yemen,
stands.
All those stands.
Henna stand. And each area will have different types of themes or motifs that are popular or that resonate. Some are more organic and floral, and some are a little more geographic. And I love how you're able to shift gears. I'm going to chime in and say that in addition to your style being very distinctive, I'm always impressed at how you use, big word for the day, chiaroscuro. Forgive me for my really bad Italian.
Use of negative space and
light. Also the and the creation of depth through using shadow and light. And that's something that I find fascinating. I'm not sure if you will be able to see the close-up here. It's kind of on the soft side. But you are able to create these gradations in your work, which is not something that I have seen with frequency. A lot of times
just
it's a
by smudging and shading the paste with fine lines, you actually get a really nice depth. And people might come to me and say, I want to have a tattoo done and I want to try this out. And I always explain, well, we can't get all the detail you get with the tattoo needle, but in the tonal reds and browns, you can get a lot of shading and three-dimensional. I did a portrait of a dog the other day on someone's arm.
Ooh,
he had a picture on his phone, and I just looked into a little portrait. It came out good.
So we're going to check it out. You just mentioned you had the pronoun he, and there's a general, maybe, I don't know if I would say understanding, but there's an association that Mendhi is, in its traditional form, with something done primarily by women, for women, at a hen's party, as some people might call it, in preparation for a bridal party, for a wedding and what have you. But flash forward to 2015, it sounds like you have everybody and their mama and your brother coming in to get Mendhi. Who are your clientele?
So I would say, of course, 95% of my clientele are women, and only because I do a lot of bridal parties. And when I first started doing henna on a more regular schedule, which was maybe 4 years ago, I feel like there still was kind of a trepidation of when people see Mendhi artists. They think, oh, that's a little radical, I don't know about that. And now people see henna artists, and they just get super excited and they line up, and so now people know what it is more. And yes, the traditional ways in which henna is used is for bridal preparation. Also, women who are expecting traditionally have their hands and feet done in India. In the States, we do bellies. We do pregnant bellies, which is really fun. About 7 months, we do pregnant bellies. But now more and more, it's just becoming another medium with which to express body art, right? So anything that I can do on a female body, I can do on a men's body, you know, with a appropriate time and place, of course. But I will get bookings for graduation parties where there's lots of teenage boys and they want nice, fun Hawaiian themed Polynesian, and I do little freestyle Polynesian themes with New Zealand themes, and yeah, you know, guys are not afraid anymore to stand in the Mendhi line.
That's kind of awesome. You can maybe have hers and his, or
and I've done that too. Really? Yeah, it's cute because traditionally in Indian bridal Mendhi, they write the groom's name on the palm. But now when I'm doing just my events for the public, I'll get cute couples who want, you know, their partner's name, you know, or
you hope that
mom, or mothers who want their kids, you know, names with a little pua for each child. You know, it's really sweet, and it's
I think the chances that your relationship will stand up for anywhere for 8 to 12 days are much higher when you have it in Mendhi than having a tattoo with someone's name. And we should clarify about the weddings. Sometimes or frequently when you have arranged marriages, this might really be the first time that you get to know each other. You can interpret that. And so it's disguised. It's very discreet. It's kind of woven in with the idea. Unless you think it says like Fred and all it says is Fred. It's not that. It's woven into the mandala.
Woven into the design, and the groom-to-be has to find it in order to have this good luck for the couple. And then it's kind of evolved over the years to be a little cheekier, like if he doesn't find it, he has to buy the bride jewelry, which she's like, hide it really good. But yeah, and also we're using 2 words, so I thought I would clarify this for people. Henna is the plant that grows in these desert arid climates. That's what henna is. Mendhi is, like Willow said, the act of using it in body art.
Right, the application. And I have to say, for our local viewers, or if they come to visit, if they go to Cocoa Head Botanical Gardens in the heart of Hawaii Kai,
and Foster Botanical Gardens.
There are Mendhi plants there. And I mean, it's really exciting. If you want to see the source,
I have visited.
She's made the pilgrimage.
Yes, I have seen it.
You know, the quality of the Mendhi is something. So there's different elements that will change the color or the intensity of the Mendhi. So there's the source of the Mendhi itself, where it comes from.
Which is Lawsonia inermis is the plant.
Okay.
I learned that at Foster Botanical Gardens.
That's fantastic. And sounds like Latin.
Lawsonia inermis. And they dry the leaves. You know, they pick the plants at different seasons, and that's a really fun little thing. There's so many fun little, you know, details, but there's something called Monsoon Henna, where it's picked after the monsoon season, where they got the most, you know, water in the leaves. So anyway, they take the leaves, dry it, and crush it into a powder, and then I get the powder from India. I have wonderful sources that I chop through. And then I have to mix it with things that activate the dye.
So these would be tannins? Is that?
Well, first it needs something acidic. Even rainwater they say is acidic, but I use lemon juice. Try to use organic local lemons whenever possible for the best juju.
Chinatown has a special price, like $4 for $1.
Yes. And then the tannins come from And terpenes, actually. Terpene is a good word to note that sounds scary. It sounds like chemicals, but it's not. Terpene is found naturally in tea tree oil, lavender oil, eucalyptus, and not all oils have it. So I think there's something, anyway, there's a lot of oils that don't have it. But you pick these ones that specifically have high terpene, and that helps the color deepen faster.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is really
And it's kind of a tricky science, because if you put a lot of terpenes in it, your henna paste will darken faster, but also degrade faster. It will expire faster. So it's kind of trying to find the sweet spot of mixing enough lemon juice and sugar we add for consistency. So lemon juice, sugar, and then these essential oils, and getting it just the right point so that it takes a while to develop but lasts a little longer.
There's a science and an alchemy to this.
And I still feel like I'm figuring it out sometimes.
You know, you mentioned about your preference of using organic materials, and even though henna itself is natural, there's been maybe a trend, maybe not a push, but there have been chemical additives that have gone into henna that's mass-produced, or and then, of course, there was the black henna, which is not henna at all. That was kind of maybe a little more popular in the 90s when they were using hair dye and all kinds of...
it's still out there. And I have to mitigate this question with people all the time, because they say, I saw these pictures on the internet with burns in the design, just burn their skin. That never happens with traditional henna. It's when it's been modified with PPD is the short name for this chemical that's specifically from hair dye.
Okay.
Yeah, and it makes it come out almost black really fast, but that isn't henna. That's not traditional. And some people get lucky and it's okay, and some people have a really terrible allergic reaction to that kind of synthetic henna paste.
There is a tendency, you can quote me on this, but places where there's touristic markets, that seems to be where the payoff is really quick, because you can see it and people have that satisfaction of really seeing what the design is, and that's usually where you're going to find
And they know that this person, this visitor, is going to leave and go home and not be able to come back and say, you know.
It's not the type of thing you're usually associate finding with someone coming to the house or doing a party or a cultural function. So we want to be clear. If you're
I'm held accountable for my work.
Exactly.
And I can say 100% I haven't done any henna on anyone that had a negative allergic reaction or anything.
Which is so very nice, because a lot of times in the realm of chemicals, cosmetics, and things like that, there are sensitivities, and even more sensitivities. I think people are perhaps becoming more sensitive with all the chemicals. So it's nice to return to something that is of the earth and that it's imbued with this cultural practice and whatnot. You had talked about the name being written in the hand. And we've also talked about the different ways that you can increase the intensity of the color. There are associations with the intensity of the color having a relationship to the intensity of the love. Have you heard about this?
Yes, of course. I think that in any culture, when it comes to specifically prenuptial ceremonies, they like to milk as many fun little things out of it as possible. And again, we referenced this earlier, in a lot of really traditional cultures, the bride and the groom may be meeting for the first time on their wedding day. So to have all these little things to giggle about, and you know, when he searches for the hand, he gets to touch her for the first time, maybe, you know, really spend time bonding. And so to have these little things like, if the color lasts a long time, your mother-in-law will love you, your husband will love you, you have passion forever. And to some degree, whatever you believe, you're manifesting, right? All of these good beliefs and intentions, you're manifesting it. So I say the more fun the better.
Heaven forbid should you come out with that wishy-washy soft orange Mendhi. Well, the speculation will be so extreme.
And then they just blame the artist, and there's still love and passion forever, and it's okay.
I want you to think about love and passion and maybe some of the things you've done to modify your body. And we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with some beautiful images from the artwork of artist Maya Ball. This is The Art of Life.
Hi, I'm Jay Fidel. That's Ted Ralston. You know, Ted is the host of Where the Road Leads. It shows every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. It's about technology. It's about how people collaborating and solve problems with modern technology. It's where the road leads. We all know that. We should all be listening. Join us there, 4 to 5 p.m. every Friday. Now, what about that do you agree with?
All of it.
I knew he'd say that. Aloha. Say aloha.
Aloha.
Good.
Aloha, Yappers. This is your host, Kingsley, for the Yap Show. Every Friday, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. You can catch us here live, ThinkTech Hawaii, and then later on, we upload to our YouTube channel. We talk about youth issues, policies, youth programs, and how to transition yourself into adulthood.
But this was like a sign, I guess. Hey, life's like, hey,
Right.
now's your chance to go back to school, which I'm doing.
Catch us here again live, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time. Aloha.
Welcome back. This is The Art of Life. I'm your host, Willow Chang Alion. If you don't have the chance to watch us live, you can always check us out. We have a lot of our episodes archived on both YouTube and the Art of Life with Willow Chang Facebook page. How fun and exciting is that? Today we have Maya Ball, who is an artist extraordinaire. Yes, the superlatives run freely and wild, but they're always accurate because there's many different ways that you have translated your art of Mendhi into other things other than just the traditional application of these henna designs. So we have some images that you provided, and we'd love to get through and see that. Beautiful.
Yay, that was a whole family. All three of those pictures is a husband, a wife, and their daughter. And I'm doing a belly henna in that left picture there.
That's fantastic. Okay.
I recognize those lovely.
Those are my stems.
Hello.
I had you come and do my Mendhi for my birthday, and it made me feel like a Maharani, like a queen. Yes, and I had mentioned to you before, it always surprises me because there was a bunch of construction guys at Queens Medical at the hospital. They were all tattooed, and they were like, "Hey, is that Mendhi?"
I am shocked that not only did they recognize what it was, but they used the traditional name. And that
shocking,
is fantastic.
shocking. We have some more examples of your beautiful artwork. Oh, so sweet. I took the liberty of pulling this off of your Facebook page.
Please. I welcome everyone to check out my website. It's on Facebook, Henna Love, Facebook/Henna Love. And lots of fun examples.
Now, once upon a time, we've worked together, and I bow down because you're a far more skilled Mendhi artist.
Willow is a Mendhi artist as well.
I don't mind working with the children because they're not as picky as the adults sometimes are, but I always marvel that children have the energy to sustain, to sit in any one place to have Mendhi done, because it is, you're very fast, but it's kind of time consuming, and once you have this on your hand and you rub a nose or you scratch something.
Remain conscious about it for the next 10 minutes is, for a 5 or 6 year old, is impressive.
It is very impressive.
But what I find is that I'll apply the design and they just stare at it for the next 5 minutes.
You don't need a Tamagotchi. You just walk around with your hand.
You know, protect it, right? And it's cute. It's something that they're very proud of. And then they want to show other friends at school. It's great.
Very cool. We have also some images here. I think, yes, my goodness.
Oh, that is one I did just the other night. A bride who requested a design on her back because she has a backless dress. So that was exciting.
And let's state that this is the photo that's taken after the application. So that's why the color will look like that it's dark brown or black, because when the henna dries, it has that deep color. But when it's scraped away, it sounds nasty, but when it's peeled away or it flakes off, there's no good
adjective. It actually
adjective.
transitions through, I like to think, 4 colors. When the paste goes on, it's slightly green, like a green mud. It looks maybe like a spa mud. And then it dries into that dark brown, you know, dried mud that you see in those pictures where it looks black.
Right.
And then once you remove the paste, the dried paste, it's kind of orangey, and it's lighter, and it takes time to develop into the brown color. It actually develops into a rusty brown.
Here's the rusty. Even though this was done on the same day, so you came over on Wednesday evening, and I know sometimes people are like, oh, but why are they different? The skin and the oil glands and all of those things are very, very different. So you are going to have gradations of color.
And when people come to me, I don't always get to ask, but sometimes I ask, are you wearing lotion? You know, do you swim in pools regularly? These are things that will make it fade if you chlorine and...
It might be a good reason to have someone else do the dishes.
Yes.
Don't scrub the toilet. Have your husband do that.
Another bonus. Yay.
Yay. Yeah. Oh my goodness, beautiful.
Oh yes, my little dishes, my little mandala bowls that I recently started making.
Now these are all done by hand?
So I paint these with porcelain paint.
Okay.
And I use my little henna bottles. I use the same bottle that I use to apply Mendhi. I fill it with porcelain paint and paint the dishes. So.
Maya, that's a lot of work. I mean, and I have to just state the consistency to the quality of your work. I'm going to just rave because it's so deserved. You do everything freehand. This is not a stencil type of situation. This is not mass produced. This is all done by hand in the flow. It's really, it's a meditation, I would say.
It is very meditative, and thank you so much for the praise, because I'm self-conscious about my symmetry all the time, you know. Making a beautiful circle is one of the hardest things. People think that's so simple, but making a really nice circle on a body, on a, you know, body shape, that's difficult. And what was the question?
No, it was just a statement. You know, I'll have to share this story. I don't think I mentioned this to you, but a couple of years ago I was in Tunisia for a friend's wedding, and that's clearly a country where the art of Mendhi is something that's traditional, and they had a traditional Northern African style henna henna party.
Did you have a very
But you know what's so crazy is that they brought the lady in. She showed up probably around midnight, because everyone's night owls over there, they're nocturnal. And I was absolutely shocked because she used stencils.
Wow.
She taped the stencils onto the body and then did the application, and I was... I had to fight the urge to like...
What a anticlimactic when you're in Tunisia and you want this experience, and then...
You know, I could understand, firstly I could understand if you're doing something on yourself and you don't have the option to do symmetry, and you know, if you go into the souk, they have stencils that are sold and that they're changed every year. So they'll have something for 2011 or new designs for 2012 and what have you. But I couldn't believe that on something like the wedding, when you're paying somebody to come and do it, that they would use a stencil. I was almost ready to ask for a refund, but it's not my party, so I just had to shut up. But you know, I think that you lose that connection of that energy exchange of someone trusting them that they're going to do something that's going to be meaningful.
My personal specialty, I feel like, is freestyle designs.
Yeah.
I usually, when I have events, I bring a little design sheet or a board that has things people can choose from. If they're those kind of people who are like, I want that, and I'm good, you know. But most of my clients, they want just the freestyle experience, because each one is different. I never do them exactly the same. Each one is one of a kind, live art in the moment that they get to feel like was channeled through them too. They had a part to do with it as well.
Excellent. I think we have a few more images to check out. Your artistry. Ooh, tell us about this.
I don't know if you can see this, but there is a blue painting underneath that chiffon layer of my friend's wedding dress. This was very exciting and very alternative. My friend is very unique. She doesn't like to do anything the way other people do it. And she wanted a blue ombre dress, but she thought that if I could paint on the satin layer underneath the chiffon, it would create this moving ombre effect when she walked, and it was beautiful. So, but it was very scary putting a blue paintbrush on a white wedding dress. It was nerve-wracking, but I loved it. She trusted me completely, and it was great.
I have to tell you, I like and I appreciate the placement of that at the bottom of the train, and then how the chiffon type, it diffuses it.
It does,
because I remember, I think it was, last year Angelina Jolie had artwork of her children, and then it was embroidered on her dress. But it kind of almost looked like someone graffitied her wedding dress. It was a.
I'm gonna have to go
the
Google that
sentiment was
now.
very beautiful, but the way it was executed was.
That's a very
could have
good.
been done a little
It's a
differently.
very good point, because if you'd have just looked at the satin layer with the blue paint on it, it would have looked like I graffitied a wedding dress. Like, but with the chiffon, it was just this gorgeous, subtle ombre effect. It was so pretty.
Wonderful. There's some other pictures that showcase your work in windows. Oh wait, we've got some more.
More of my little dishes. There's a hamsa, featured. A hamsa is traditional design for repelling negativity, keeping away negative energy. So it's very popular. I'm sure you're familiar with
Definitely, and I love how you have the hamsa there, or the hand of Fatima, or hand of Miriam, protective hand with the evil eye, which is great. We can all use a little protection. We don't have this image right now, but we will place it on our Facebook web page. And you have been able to translate your artistry into window designs
many different
as well.
projects. Yes, and I think it started with Lily Lotus, this wonderful company that I work with. I used to work for her as a production artist for years. And when she opened her first boutique, she had me paint some windows, just small. And then when she opened her boutique in Kailua, we did something bigger. At first, I had these beautiful pair of elephants that were raised up facing each other on the door, and that was for her grand opening in Kailua. And then it evolved, and she said, I want you to do your Mendhi designs, and I'm gonna give you artistic license, and I want you to just maybe sketch something that'll frame the windows. And I ran it through her, and she said, fantastic, and I did that. And then just recently, she opened another boutique in Kaimuki, and I got to do those. Such a privilege, and I've had people who saw that, Chai Studio in Ward, another fantastic store. I work with both of these boutiques. She had me paint gorgeous little jolly screen, reference designs on her windows, and so then I do my painted dishes, and I do wedding favor. People will contact me and say, can you do a customized thing for my baby luau or for my bridal showers? So I paint those. And then the wedding dress thing was, I've only done one, so if anybody wants to do a painted wedding dress,
that.
let me know.
And we should clarify that on the windows, the paint is white. So if you're thinking that we're using a brown or
I am not using this tiny little bottle to paint
it's painted white, and
store
it's great
windows.
because it really
I'm
pops.
actually just using regular exterior latex paint because it's easy to remove and it's easy to put on.
I'm curious about the transition from, again, it's still three-dimensional, obviously, if you're painting on the window, but it's different than the curvature of the body and the body heat and working in smaller scales, and then you have to adjust and adapt for painting on a larger surface. Was that an easy transition for you, or what was that learning curve like? We had Chris Goto on our show a few weeks ago, and she did work with powwow, and she's accustomed to working with small forms, and then she had to do these murals, and she said it was a great opportunity, but she realized it really wasn't her. She appreciates the intimacy of working in a smaller form. What's your take on that?
It was challenging mentally when I thought about painting a mural-sized piece of a Mendhi design, because my canvas is the human body, and the biggest it gets is, maybe a 7-month belly, or maybe a man's, back or something like that.
We need some NFL guys.
Some NFL. My husband's back, but she won't let me paint. But so I think I probably thought about it more than I needed to in the beginning, planning it out with a little 11 by 14 piece of paper and making to scale measurements of the windows, and planning it and everything. But I found through the whole process that really just trusting my instinct and making a stroke and stepping back and just visualizing it and making the next stroke, that was the best thing. If I tried to go by the book and the numbers with my ruler, I would end up wiping it off and doing another one, wiping it off. I really just had to step back and kind of relax, literally like exhale as you stroke, and it just kind of fell into place. And I was able to create these designs that most people passing by and watching from across the street thought I was applying a decal. They thought it was a decal because it was so symmetrical.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. We're going to think about that. We have to take a little break, and then we'll be back, and you'll get to see some of the wonderful creations that Maya's created for the body. This is the art of life.
We're here with Hunter Haviland because he is a member of our panel on February 26th. We're going to talk about Hawaii, the state of unfunded liabilities. Hi, Hunter.
Hi, Jay.
So what does it look like from your point of view, being on that panel?
Well, part of my work is with the Asia Pacific Center for Regenerative Design. And so with that, we're kind of taking a broader notion of, when we talk about liabilities, what are some of the external factors, right? So if we're talking about sustainability across the globe, resilience to natural disasters, our use of natural resources, and how those things do or don't get incorporated into our current understandings of the state of the state.
Yeah, and thus the liabilities, and thus the economy. Yeah. So that's February 26th. It's a Thursday. It's at Laniakea. It starts at 12 noon. Come down 11:30 for lunch. Check out our website to sign up, ThinkTechHawaii.com. Hunter is one of 7 speakers. We'll be trying to talk to some of the others too, let you know what they're going to do. And sign up. We'll see you there. It'll be important. It's one of the most important things we can think of. Aloha.
Aloha.
Aloha and welcome back. This is The Art of Life. I'm your host, Willow Chang Leon. And if you haven't found out, we've got Maya Ball in the house. She does many things in addition to being a practitioner of the ancient art of Mendhi, but finding ways to bring this art of antiquity into contemporary time. So we talked about your involvement with various companies, Lily Lotus and Chai, doing window designs, working in clothing motifs, and then the body, bridging different cultures, but you also have a jewelry line.
Yes.
So tell us about this. We have some pictures that perhaps we can show. And look lovely.
Art clay, and I'll explain what that is in a second. It's very exciting. Or maybe I can just explain it.
Yeah.
It's art clay is developed in Japan, and it's clay that's fine silver clay. So when you work with it just you would like a normal roll of clay, but when you fire it, the clay particles burn away and you're left with 0.999 fine silver.
Oh my goodness.
It's fantastic, and I love it.
I'm kind of tripping. I never knew such a thing even existed.
No. Yeah, it's really fun because I take linoleum blocks and carve designs into them, and then I'll roll the clay into the designs. The one that was featured in that picture was not a carving that I made. That was a piece that I found somewhere, but I like to carve my own designs now.
You know what I learned at Manoa Recreation Center?
Oh.
We had an arts and crafts class, and it was in
That sounds
elementary.
exciting.
It was, because they had us work with linoleum. I don't know why you would have 3rd graders do this.
That's extraordinary. It's
it
not a beginner medium.
It isn't,
because you have sharp tools.
You have very sharp tools, and I remember Barbara Ho said, she said, always carve away from yourself, because you have
very important.
Yeah, and you know, I was trying to reach a curve.
It's like a shiv.
And guess what I did? I carved that implement right into my thumb. And I've never worked with linoleum.
That was the end of your
There's nothing like having a large metal implement stuck in your thumb.
I've done that trying to get coconut out of a coconut before with the knife. Not pretty.
You're a brave, brave woman.
Well, I did grow up on a farm. That's a fun thing to note about me too. I grew up on a farm on Kauai, and so
I love it.
I think growing up in the jungle makes you a free artist.
You have to.
A freer artist.
We have some more jewelry images. I love this.
My malas.
Wow.
Malas. I started doing at the suggestion of Momi Chi. She's the owner of Lily Lotus, the owner and designer. And she wanted these for her boutique, so I started working with wood and semi-precious stones, and I just fell in love with it. Again, very meditative. The way that it's meditative to do Mendhi art, it's so meditative to make these pieces of jewelry. And each one, it's like cooking, you know, using different ingredients and the color, and it all gives it a different flavor and feel.
Definitely. So I think a lot of times people might think of a mala as something
it's purely
associated,
spiritual.
yeah, or something on the wrist. But I love how you have these neck pieces.
Well, I do a traditional. It's a 108 bead mala, and the numbers have a cosmic significance.
They
and it's
do.
all
If you
supposed
practice
to-
pranayama, there'll be 108 breaths. Right? And you have wonderful amulets that have significance as well. Ganesh being one of them. He's the elephant-headed god of the Hindu pantheon who removes the obstacles.
Ganesha, like Hamsa, is a motif that more people are familiar with now. That people that don't necessarily follow Eastern philosophies and religions, but now they know what this is, and they believe in the power of belief in something.
And I think anything that clears the way and makes the path smooth
and
is
makes
wonderful.
you feel more, prepared to take on the day. More power to you.
I would say if you want to have a little trippy experience, go and research how Ganesh became the elephant-headed god, because that's where the romance kind of ends. It's a pretty violent story.
It would make an interesting movie if they decided to do.
Pardon me? And the beads. Well, you have some right here.
Well, this mala I brought with me today, and it's not one of the most exciting, but it's the very first one that I ever made, so I kept it for myself, of course. And it's all wood with these beautiful agate stones and white jade here.
Is this a teak or what type of
This
wood?
You can smell it because it has sandalwood oil. It's not sandalwood. Sandalwood is hard to get these days, and I actually try to use other woods because they're more sustainable. But this wood is from Indonesia as well, and it's become shiny with all the wear of over the years.
And that's the oils of the body probably infused.
Which is kind of fun because the color changes when wood soaks up your body oils, and it actually becomes part of you, become part of it.
And you know what's beautiful? So there is a knot. That's not a little bead. That's a knot between every bead. And that is the sign of quality. Yes, I'm a jewelry maniac. Not only is it time consuming, but what that ensures is that in the event if something should break, heaven forbid, you're not going to lose.
They don't go flying across the floor, right.
And that was kind of maybe a standard practice before with jewelry, and now because people are taking shortcuts, you don't see that.
Exactly, yes.
I'm so impressed.
That's very important to me.
Wow.
And that leads to the meditative part, is that each little bead is running through my fingers and getting secured into place. And I've even, for special customers who requested something where they needed, they wanted that extra mana from their mala, I actually say a little affirmation with every bead that goes on. I did one of those for my massage therapist, because he's always, coming in contact with everyone else's energies, and he's releasing all of their stress and things, so he needed something that was going to protect him.
Restorative and
so.
centering. You have some wonderful earrings here as well. Yay.
These guys, I love working with feathers. They're kind of tribal, but my style is that I try to do elegant feathers that you don't feel too bohemian wearing, but of course my bohemian customers love them. And again, I like using these sort of bright color blocking techniques, and creating, these ones actually kind of look like orchids. Because
and then you have some beautiful aqua colored ones.
One of my best sellers because of that mint color. The world just went crazy for that mint color for a long time, and it's still good.
Mint, I tell you, turquoise and mint, it's a color that looks good on everybody, no matter what season it is.
That's true.
You can be pale and wan or tan.
Turquoise,
and,
I love turquoise.
And it looks really great. And I think what's so interesting about the feathers, the symbolism of flight and of freedom, and then also all of the sacred associations of birds as being messengers. And there's a consistency that pretty much every culture has enjoyed using feathers to adorn the body, from the ancient Hawaiians and the Native Americans, or kingfisher feathers in China. I mean, what's not to like?
You just made me think of something. Maybe one of my undercurrent themes in my work is that I like using materials that have a history.
Yes.
I'm not a big fan of, resin or plastic beads, maybe glass if it's some beautiful hand-blown piece.
Like a Murano glass.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not a big fan of any synthetic materials. I like real metals, semi-precious, feathers, wood, shells. I do some things with shells as well.
And I'll tell you one of the other benefits, again, when people are sensitive, I know someone who's very sensitive. They can't wear a lick of anything that isn't real gold or real silver, even if it's just for an hour or two, and they break out in a pretty ferocious rash.
A lot of silvers have nickel in them, things like that that turn you green or give you alligator skin.
Yeah, ooh, oh good. We have some other earrings here. I see flowers.
Oh yes, this is just an example. My hoops, my handmade hoops are one of my popular things over the year. They do really, really well at my 2 boutiques that I sell at, but I make my own hoops. And the fun, remember what I was saying about making a good circle in Mendhi? I like making a good circle in metal too. And these ones have little gold flowers and gold leaves on them.
Those are just exquisite. Now, we know that there are ways that people can find out about you. You have an Instagram account and also a website. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. If you would like to see a comprehensive range of my work in the Mendhi and painted community projects, go to my Facebook. It's www.facebook.com/HennaLove. So if you just look Facebook/HennaLove, it should come up easy. And then my Instagram, which I just started, I'm the last person to jump on the technology bandwagon.
No, you're not, because I'm not on Instagram yet.
No, but I mean, I just got a smartphone 6 months ago. I just got a smartphone. I love it. I love it. Can't imagine life without it now. But Instagram is @MayaPapaya808. That's my Instagram where I post pictures of henna, jewelry, life, everything. I also use #HennaLove808 for specifically henna things, and I think other people can use that as well.
It's so inspiring. It really is. You know, to pursue your dreams and to find different connections and ways to express yourself through different mediums, and then having that thread of nature and culture all connected. It's very beautiful.
Thank you so much. And I've been so fortunate to sell my work and do collaborative artistic projects with these 2 boutiques that I mentioned, with Lily Lotus and Chai Studio, because they both embody that kind of spirit that I find, luscious to my life. They have the same appreciation for vibrant colors and positive attitudes and real materials. And I encourage people to go. You can go check out a lot of my stuff at either of those 2 places.
Can't go wrong with vibrant colors and natural materials.
Colorful life.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when things are kind of dreary or kind of having a downer moment.
That's another little funny, and this might be too philosophical, but I went through a whole period where I thought, do I really want to be an artist as a career? I mean, what is it doing that's useful? What, when I could be doing something like practicing environmental law or something, but I really always go back to that feeling and the look on someone's face when they put on one of my malas or when they are being adorned by Mendhi, that they feel so special.
Yes.
They really feel special and they feel beautiful, and it makes them it lifts their spirit. And it's a currency to which it's valuable to me.
I couldn't agree more. You said exactly what I think many people feel. Thank you so much.
As a dancer, I'm sure you've experienced the same thing.
Thank you so much, Maya, for being our guest. And this is The Art of Life, where we're always keeping it Pono. We'll see you next week. Have a wonderful weekend.